Oh shoot, can't hear me. I gotta get closer to you. All right, this is let's see. We started this video in January of 23. It's now January of 24, and you can see behind us. There's a tail back there, and Les is going to town. So Les, give us the update.
Well, I don't know the last time that we did this, but
The turtle deck wasn't on.
okay, so we put the turtle deck on, and I've tried to cleco everything together as opposed to rivet. And by the way, I've chosen to use stainless steel rivets as opposed to solid rivets.
Nice. Okay.
The reason I'm doing that is I built the YX with all stainless steel rivets, and that worked out fine.
You mean like the pop rivets,
Pop rivets,
as
correct.
opposed to the solids? Yeah.
Solid rivets. So what I've chosen to do is not do any riveting until I've got everything put together, everything fits, and then I'll have to disassemble it and rivet accordingly. So you can see lots of clecos installed. I do get it to the point where I'm now using the bronze rivets. And the reason you do that is you start off initially drilling using the smaller clecos for alignment and stuff. And then eventually I drill out with the larger clecos, and you have to take it apart, deburr, put it back together. So
Right.
this is pretty much ready to rivet. So we've got all solid the bronze rivets, the bronze clecos.
That's the final drill size, right?
That's correct, and that means it's all been deburred.
Nice.
So that's all ready to go. I do have some additional holes, especially down at the bottom here where it's really, you have two surfaces coming together. And so I'll have to do some additional work, but I have to rotate the airplane to get easy access to it.
Oh, right.
So since the previous video, we put that turtle deck on. And that goes to pretty well.
That wasn't too bad. I mean,
It was
once you did the second, they got the second cut on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to do the turtle deck twice because the plans either I didn't do it well, but this turtle deck actually I made larger than what the plans call out for. And so I also did the back end tail, and believe it or not, this here was very difficult because of different angles and stuff, but it actually came out pretty nice.
That came out super good.
But still, the problem that I'm having is that when you bend this stuff, you can get wrinkles in it, and I have a few wrinkles on the other side.
Oh my gosh.
But I kind of once that gets riveted, it'll be really nice.
Yeah, this came out great. I mean, like you said, you got multiple cuts, multiple bends.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, this is a wider bend at the top, going to a narrow bend back there.
It was a challenge.
That came out great.
And when I say a challenge, that means you take it apart, try it again, take it apart.
That's right.
Very time consuming. And actually, these the vertical tail and a rudder has probably taken me 5 weeks to do this.
Wow.
And so it's really challenging, number one, to bend this. And when I discovered when I bend it, you get these wrinkles. And I only have the wrinkles in this side over here come out okay. So that was very frustrating for me, but I decided that I am not building a perfect airplane. But I did learn how to bend it. After discovering this didn't bend as well as I'd like,
Yeah.
this one here came out really well.
That looks beautiful.
And the way I did it
Wow.
is I took two boards and I put them along this edge
Inside?
on the outside.
On the outside.
And I used them, it would prevent it from warping at all.
Huh.
because with the board
Oh, you
stiff,
bended with the board, so the
Yeah.
board had equal pressure
right
along the
throughout
full length.
and you can see what happened here.
Wow. So this one, you just tried using your hands and folding it over.
Correct. Yeah.
I
And the
gotcha.
other thing is that if you use something like, if you notice there's this green mat over here, I've used that on some pieces where you can put the aluminum on this green mat,
Yeah.
and then let's say the aluminum's here, then
Oh.
you can do it this way.
This is a pretty sturdy mat.
Yeah, it's what you use for if you're cutting with an X-Acto knife and stuff like that.
Oh, it's like just a cutting
It's a
board
cutting
thing.
board. But the thing is, it's stiff, pliable, but you can see you could bend a piece of aluminum.
And it distributes the force.
Right, equally.
Where did you get that mat at? Is it a plain old cutting mat at the grocery store?
Yeah, my wife had it for her stuff. And
Okay, the wife's stuff's coming out here. Okay, good.
The one thing, going back to the tail, and this is, maybe I should have knew this at the front end, but if you come over here, and if you look down, you'll see a gap there.
Okay.
And if you look over here, there's no gap. So what that means is it's not centered properly.
Oh, the hinge is right smack in the middle?
Yeah, see, it's these hinges right there. I made the hinges, but what you got to make sure of is that you're perfectly centered. So what I'm going to do is I got to take these hinges off again and make sure that everything's lined equally.
Take it apart.
Yeah.
Put it together. Take it apart.
Yeah. So the other thing that you might be interested in is, so you make these things out of, this is 040, seems like this is maybe 020,
Wow.
but this is going to go back here.
Okay.
So it's your bottom rib.
Nice.
And what I do is I put tape, because where are you going to drill the holes?
Yeah.
So, number one, the plans call this to be not as high, but I chose to make it a little higher. So if my drill is off a little bit, I don't have to do it.
You got some more wiggle room, right?
So what I do is I put tape there, and I just position this where it's supposed to go.
Oh, on the outside.
Yeah. And now I know where to put
You just traced it.
Yeah, and I know where to put the hole. Where if you put it in here,
You can't see
without
what
the
you're doing.
tape, you can't know what you're doing.
Right.
So I did this same thing. So these things are easy. So you cut them out as a flat piece, and then you end up bending them. And I'm using this bender over here, which is a Harbor Freight bender.
Nice.
But they're very popular. But you get this bar,
Yeah.
but the bar is not clamped. It moves.
Oh, you have to figure out what to do with it.
So what I did is I drilled through this,
Nice.
so it wouldn't move on me. But I just loosen up these nuts, lift this up, and then I take these smaller pieces and I put them in there, and that's
Oh.
how I bend it.
Oh,
And
right.
You get some really good. I mean, that's really nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also learned, don't drill these things. You drill it after you fit it, like that blue tape that we were doing there.
You mean don't drill it first?
Correct. Because let's say if I did drill it first, you put it up under there, now you got to drill through the aluminum. Well, where's the hole?
Where's the hole? That's right.
Little things you should learn about it. But
So are you going to drill, you'll drill the skin back there first,
yeah.
hold that up, then mark that?
Yeah, what I'll do is that I'll drill, well, actually, that shows me, so I'm going to put this, for example, if I'm going to drill this, I'm going to put this up into the rudder, make sure it's positioned properly, square, and then with the blue tape on the outside, I know where I'm going to drill.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
And it'll go right through. But the key on any of this stuff is you got to make sure everything is secured so it don't move on you.
And is that the hardest part? Holding
is.
everything still?
It is, but Anyway, that's just little things that you learn because of so many mistakes you make.
Right. And on this thing, it's like, if you were doing anything wider than the bolt spacing, then you have to take the bolts out.
Well, here's what, no, well,
If it was wider than
well,
that.
I was initially going to have this so I could move him at the end.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I gotcha.
But I chose, when you start like 040 metal,
Mm-hmm.
which is this,
Mm-hmm.
it's really difficult to bend.
Mm.
So one of the things I chose to do, this is about, what is it, 26 or 32 inches, I forgot.
The full length is like I think it's a
But
30, yeah.
Some of my, so that's what I've chosen to be restricted to.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I can do these things real easy.
Right.
But the back at here, and I would guess you've got these, what do you call it?
Ribs or...
Yeah, let's call them ribs.
Mm-hmm.
But it calls to take,
Longerons or...
yeah, 040 aluminum,
Mm-hmm.
and you make a U out of it. So that says this here is probably, what, 38 inches, if I remember right.
Gotcha.
I don't have the equipment to bend 38 inches because that'll only do 32.
Right.
I took the 040 over to a machine shop who does aluminum,
Oh,
and they bent the aluminum.
nice.
But when I got back, I found out that they bent it where they didn't have a good angle of the bend.
Huh.
It was too sharp.
Oh.
So as soon as you messed with it at all, it just fell apart.
It broke?
Yeah.
It fractured the aluminum?
Because the angle of the bend was too sharp.
Oh.
So, and they're supposed to be the guys that know how to bend aluminum.
Oh my gosh. They just weren't used to working with light stuff.
I don't know.
40,000s.
I don't know. But I decided, okay, what to do. So instead of making a piece 32 inches long, I cut it in half. And then, so I had two pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And then I made a piece to tie them together.
Mm.
You know, inside.
Yep.
And so that's what I've chosen to do on anything that's longer than my...
Gotcha. So you can bend it there and then reinforce it together and then you have a full piece.
Right, yeah. And somebody may argue that that's maybe not what you should do, but I am not after building the perfect airplane. But it is coming together.
It looks so good. That rear end, that tail right there,
Yeah.
looks
Well, you
totally
can
like a jet. That little nozzle sticking out the back.
notice no wrinkles.
Yeah, this side's perfectly smooth.
Yeah. And this is just some tape.
Tape,
I had
yeah.
tape there. And then this obviously is a challenge, but you can see I've got a little wrinkle there. And
So then, did this side you actually use your board idea to distribute the,
No.
or it just went out? It worked out good.
This was the one that was laid flat on the table.
Gotcha.
So because it's flat on the table, it's not getting...
Oh, it's supported.
Yeah. But it's this side here.
You just use your hands to push it over.
Yeah. And so I just take now two boards and I put the two boards, one here and one on the other side,
Mm-hmm.
and you just start manually pressing it together.
Yeah, that you're right. I mean, that is looks
It
perfect.
came out nice.
That looks perfect. Yeah.
And by the way, the other challenge on this is how do you cut this? Because this line needs to be parallel with your longerons.
Oh.
So how do you do that? And then how do you get these two matched up? Now my point is, it's challenging. You got to think. You got to think it through.
Yeah.
And what I do is I just walk away and I think about it.
Yeah. Right.
Because if you're too aggressive, you'll end up that the cut goes this way or that way.
Because you got all this on a flat table somewhere, and you're trying to cut it before you mount it up here, right?
Well,
or are you cutting it after it's up there?
Here's what I chose to do. On both, let's talk about the rudder. I left it longer uh, both the bottom and the top.
Right.
And then, because it's longer, then I took a ruler, placed it up here, and I made sure it was level, because the longerons are level.
Gotcha.
And if it was level, then I had my tape, and I could put a line, and that was my cut line.
Oh, gotcha.
And I did the same back here. And
Nice.
by the way, this is something that I cut
That
out.
looks fancy. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of little
Yeah.
whoop-de-doos here and there. Holy smokes.
And that's going to go back here.
God, your exhaust nozzle
Well,
for vectored thrust. That's so cool.
this is where your horizontal stabilizer
Gotcha.
comes out through here.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And by the way, Ben, if you want, we talked about this. I had a loss for words, but this is the angle iron.
Yeah.
That needed to bend.
The U channel or whatever.
That's 040. And so I cut that. So that was 38 inches. Let's say I bent maybe 20 inches. I can do in my Harbor Freight bender.
Yeah.
And then I made an insert that goes in there that's about 8 inches, maybe 10 inches long, that goes on the inside, and then I riveted all that together.
So the insert, that's what combines the two, or?
Yes, yeah. It goes over where the two halves meet.
Gotcha. Right.
And by the way, to strengthen this, the plans call out to have two 040.
Wow.
As you can see, there's two, and then I rivet them together.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That's just to strengthen it, which you need it.
Nice and strong. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Wow.
that was a challenge. But if I made it, or instead of 38 inches, that I did the 20 inches,
Yeah.
I can bend it on my Harbor Freight, and it does a very good job.
Yeah. It looks good. It looks. I mean, it looks nice and evenly bent. So, and you drilled all the holes.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
That's going to be a riveting, which of course would be an extremely difficult job using solid rivets to get a bucking bar back there or something like that.
It's a challenge.
So just doing the pop rivets.
And this is probably one of the more difficult places
To work.
to work.
Yeah. It totally looks like, to me, it looks like jet exhaust. You got your
Yeah, you can see
your
where
vectored
this is-
thrust
yeah,
and your
you
nozzle
can
there.
see
That
where
was
this
great.
is gonna-
That looks so cool.
it'll-
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That looks really good.
This is probably attempt number 1.
Oh, nice.
So,
What, you're anticipating at least 2 more?
well, I was going to throw it away,
Oh,
and the reason is I thought that the measurements were wrong, but I thought that this was supposed to come together like this.
right.
But as you see, it can't come together because of
Oh,
this here.
the fin's there.
Yeah. So
Oh,
what I
good.
thought, so instead of going like this,
Right.
it really goes something like this.
Yeah.
So it looks like it maybe is done correctly.
Nice.
But
That's the way it was designed to be.
when you build a Hummel Bird, there's attempt number 1. The only question is how many times you're gonna have to redo it.
And like you said, the first one's always a template.
Yes. And if by the way, if you take that attitude that everything's a template until you get it right, then you're probably okay.
Then you can relax and just enjoy the
Yeah,
process.
but like me, I thought if I did it once, I can move on.
Once and done.
Nah, it didn't work that way.
Not quite like your day job, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love how your turtle deck came out. That just looks super good. This mating with your fuselage right here just looks. I mean, look at that. It's perfect.
Yeah. Well,
That is great right there.
but I didn't follow the plans exactly to get that.
Wow.
Actually, the plans show that they take. See how this is bent here?
You mean it's got a little bit of wrinkle or what?
No, it's bent.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
It's bent so the angle.
Right.
Well, it's supposed to be done here.
Oh.
But I extended this down a little
Oh.
bit further
And then it matches the curve of the fuselage.
Yes, close enough for me.
Oh, and then you don't have to put that funny flange on it.
Right.
Very good idea. That looks awesome.
Yeah, it came out very clear.
Boy, that looks super good. And it saved you all the work from having to bend a full-length flange on that turtle deck.
Yes, yeah.
That is amazing. Wow. Yeah, I love your turtle deck frame right here. Has just a little bit of a curve right here, and that looks just so good and flows right into this fuselage right here.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That was a genius idea right there.
Well,
Screw the work on that little flange.
It wasn't because it's genius. It's because
3 or 4
I
attempts.
don't know what I'm doing, and it happened to work out. But yeah, I'm happy with this. But there is a wrinkle on the other side.
Oh,
And so one of the things that I want to find out, do some research on, is how do you get a wrinkle out of aluminum? And I know they have that ball. What do
Oh,
you
a
call
ball? Really?
it? It's
I don't know.
yeah, there's a name. And I
Just
can't
for
think
body
of it.
work?
Yeah, you can take pieces of metal and with the ball going and you roll it back and forth and stuff.
Oh.
You can take out wrinkles. I think.
I've seen them car shop do it on sheet metal for cars. They massage out the wrinkle.
I can tell you what you don't do. If we come back over here. I noticed I had a little wrinkle here.
Oh, yeah.
So I said, oh, I'll just put this on a flat surface and I'll take a little hammer
Yeah.
and pound out the wrinkle.
Oh.
Well, now I got all these little
A bunch of
hammer
little dings.
marks on that. So, okay,
That doesn't work.
I'm not going to do that. But I'm real curious working with metal. I'm sure there's ways to get that out. It's the same way with that wrinkle up here to get it out.
The car ones I've seen that do car sheet metal, they reach in and they have just a finger like this, and the finger wipes along the surface, just like this, and it massages it.
Well, I went onto YouTube and tried to find out some kind of method, and I haven't been successful. So we're showing the world my mistake.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, I love your idea on this turtle deck. Look at that. This, instead of putting a flange along the full length like this looks like a lot of extra work, this flange right here.
It was, yeah.
To leave it just flush like that looks so good.
Well,
so is this
Yeah.
further back here than the plans?
No.
This is about right?
Yeah. The only thing is it's maybe down a little bit, and you can see that because this is round.
Yeah.
That the more that you go, this edge goes up here.
Oh, right.
The more.
The sharper the bend.
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
number one, I cut it where I thought, hey, that fits kind of nice.
Oh.
Because it was longer.
It was long.
Yeah, I tried to.
And you're all, I'm going to leave it that way. I like this.
Yeah. As you know, the problem is cutting too short.
That's the problem.
You can't put it down.
You can't stretch it.
I'm doing cut it longer.
Everything long.
Put it on and try it. And I noticed that, hey, I could get a pretty nice fit.
And just leave it.
Yeah. Now, somebody could argue I'm not following the plans exactly, but I personally don't see any problem with it.
Yeah, it doesn't, I mean, not that we're aeronautical engineers, but it doesn't look like you're compromising structural integrity.
That's what I felt.
Yeah.
So, and there's a rib that goes in here. Actually, it's right here. And so this is all primered and stuff. But it goes back in here. And it's all pre-drilled. I just put this on for this video, actually.
Oh, nice.
But eventually this goes in here.
Nice. So this is the first time the tail and the fin and rudder have been on, huh?
No, I put it on, take it off.
Put it on, take it off. Okay, you're good at it.
Yeah, and in fact, so the next thing I got to do is take this off, and those hinges have got to be perfectly aligned, so they line up, both sides line up on the vertical stabilizer, where I showed you there's a gap here.
Yeah.
So I got to move it. But you also notice here that the aluminum is bent here. And that's so when you move this, and I don't know if I got some movement here, but
It curls in.
It curls in.
Yeah. Nice.
That something caught. That's over here. This edge gets caught because it's over
Super tight.
that. Yeah.
Now, do you remember the Sonex rudder?
Yep.
It's all just riveted on one side with a huge gap on the other side.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I had the YX, so I don't.
Oh, my 1X, it's actually the piano hinge is just on the one side.
Oh.
And the other side is a huge gap.
Oh.
And so it just hinges on literally on one side. It doesn't hinge in, it doesn't turn in the center. So it's not cent. I mean, when it's centered, it's equal on both sides, but the hinge is only on one side.
Oh.
So it doesn't even pivot in the center.
Huh.
It's like, oh, well, that's simple.
Well, this will end up pivoting in the center, but it's a challenge to do this, and I think you've photographed that these are really simple, made out of an angle iron, and you cut them. I think they're about what 3/4 of an inch angle iron. Then you drill a hole. Well, I drill the holes, but if you mount those on the spar,
Right.
then if they're not perfectly centered, then you'll get a gap.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's not a big gap, but it's not right, and so I'm going to,
Try it again.
yep, take it apart, put it together.
So those little angles are they clecoed in, or you got them riveted in? Oh, yeah, those are riveted. I see a rivet in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wait.
But on the rudder, I got to drill out the rivets. And so the ones on the vertical stabilizer, they're going to be good, and I don't have to change them. I'll change the hinges on the rudder.
Gotcha. Oh, the first permanent rivets. Oh, well, we got some rivets right here as well.
Yeah, I've chosen to, but by the
Hey, are those your first rivets? That's great.
yeah. Now that was if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't have riveted.
Your first rivets, man. There they are.
Yeah, I thought, well, because you end up with too many clecos all over the place, and
Oh.
low on those clecos. So I chose, okay, there's no risk of riveting it, and now I've got my hinges need work.
Oh.
But the good news is, I'll just work on the rudder.
Oh, there you go.
If the hinges on the vertical stabilizer are a little off, I can compensate by this changing it.
Right.
Here.
Nice.
But, and this is one of the more complicated areas because I'm going to put the horizontal stabilizers back here.
Right.
So a lot goes on right here.
Gotcha.
And if you had a tail dragger, then you have to add the tail dragger. And by the way, I've chosen to go to a tri-gear.
Oh, gotcha. Is Pat's, is his...
This is a tail dragger.
It is, okay.
And I'm doing that because I'm 79 years old.
Yeah.
And old guys maybe need to think twice
Before they fly a tail wheel.
And then how do I get certified in a tail dragger? This is a single seater. How do you get qualified in a single?
You're on your own, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing that I want to, I don't know if I showed you, but I bought the plans for the Ultra Cruiser.
Yes.
And the reason I bought the Ultra is the Hummel Bird plans leave some information that you, as a builder, wish you had more.
To your imagination, huh? They leave it to your imagination.
So I bought the Ultra Cruiser plans in the hope that I could see some additional things that would help me build this. And that turned out to be not the case.
Oh.
So I got these plans, and the one thing I want to show you, Ben, is that I think they've done their plans just exceptional.
On the Ultra Cruiser.
Yeah, it's totally done done different than the Sonics and the RVs.
Oh.
It's just done different, but any builder it would make total sense. So I want to show you that.
It's just step by step.
And by the way, the Ultra Cruiser, they're still talking that you can build it with engine and minor avionics for I think around 18.5 or something like that.
Wow, that's great.
But that's a 103.
And no license, right?
No license, no registration.
Wow, what
But I
fun.
noticed some of the builders are adding weight to it.
Oh.
Because the Ultra Cruiser, when you build it, and to pass the 103, there's no canopy.
Oh, you're open in the wind?
Open in the wind.
Oh my gosh, wear goggles.
Well, if you're going 65 miles an hour,
Not too bad.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But the ones I've seen, they've added the canopy that adds
Oh.
the weight to it.
You pop over the limit.
Yeah, but who checks?
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know. Maybe they do.
Yeah.
But anyway, and I still have my beam in.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And the reason I got the beam in is because I just have Clecos.
Right.
I'm a little concerned if I take the beam out, just the slightest movement, some holes might start to get off.
Yeah.
So I'm leaving it in as long as possible. The other thing that I would advise any potential builders is when they do the bulkheads, which is one of the first things you do, is that they need to be reinforced so there's zero movement at all.
Those two clamps you got on there, those pieces of wood?
Yeah, but that's sufficient for the angle I wanted.
Gotcha.
But here's what my recommendations are. I do a plywood form to build, to bend and form the bulkheads.
Yeah.
Well, what I would do if I was doing it over again, when I installed this bulkhead, behind it, I would have attached firmly the plywood form.
Oh.
And the reason is that would prevent any movement of those, because keep in mind when you drill your hole, if you're doing other things, that hole might move a little bit. And it only takes a little bit. Now you got to have a bigger
all your holes are
hole.
screwed up.
Yeah. So as you would suspect, you've got to make sure everything is firmly secured.
Right.
And if you think about it, see my wooden plywood goes right around that edge.
Right. Perfectly.
So it's perfect.
Because it's the form,
so
yeah.
you just clamp it or drill holes in it to make sure
it's fastened to it.
I'd like to have an example, but look at it. If you do this, see, it'll move. And if I drill this, so you need to have a form that is very secure before you start drilling.
Right.
And I didn't do that initially, so you got to do things where you put, for example, these guys on. Well, I drill it the first time, you take it off, put it together, and you work on it, and you put it back together, and this might have moved. And now your holes don't line up. So
how did you, just those two pieces of wood is what you had it clamped to originally, that bulkhead?
Yes.
Okay.
But it secures it, and you can see here I've got the wood that gives me the right angle for the bulkhead.
Right.
But there wasn't anything securing the side.
The outside.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So and it only has to bend a little bit.
And then your holes are all screwed up.
Then your holes on.
Gotcha.
And yeah, it's just it's very problematic.
Yeah.
But a lot of builders, especially woodworkers, they often have signs that says you never have enough clamps.
You never have enough
and that
clamps.
goes for this too.
Yeah, yeah. I can see your fin there's a little bit sideways, but this is you just got it clamped up there for the video, so that's you'll get that all nailed down.
Yeah, I'd still like to have a better way that I'm holding this off the table.
Instead of just that 2x4.
Yeah, and also the little thing I got in the back.
So yeah, you got it.
But I haven't thought of a better way of doing it. And I keep thinking that any day now I'll take off the beam.
Any day now. It's like, you know what?
But
it'll be in there till the last rivet's in, right? Yeah. But if you have to, you can just cut that beam up and get it out of there if you have to.
By the way, that's one of the...
Oh, your little back one there?
That's the plywood form that you make.
For your tail right back
That's
there.
that's bulkhead E,
Right.
and you cut that out, and you can see it's very sturdy. It's 3/4,
Right.
and so if you use that at your bulkhead, it's going to be secure.
Rock solid, yeah. Well, that's kind of a super critical tip, is getting your whole wooden structure rock solid, then building around something that's really rock solid.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
And even with the way I've got this set up right now, you can see that it's not tilted right.
Oh, I see. Okay,
And
gotcha.
that's
Yeah.
I haven't solved that yet. How you make it something more secure.
But relative to your internal beam, everything's square to that.
Yeah,
Your internal
correct.
beam is the critical
Yeah.
alignment
But right now,
thing.
just because my 4
Yeah.
braces here, this can get a little wonky.
Gotcha. Now I was noticing this is really cool right here. This seam right here.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's common when you're building the airplane.
You bent that?
Yeah, it's a little
Or you
tool.
rolled it?
No, it's a little tool.
And it matches up the mating fuselage
Yeah,
surfaces.
so when you rivet it, there's a common tool that's used for that. And the purpose of it is you'll bend it so that when you clecal it, it'll be a tight fit.
Gotcha.
Because it'll compress,
Yeah.
and this is the tool, and you just roll that down the edge.
Oh, very, very cool. Huh.
Yeah, I use this on the Sonics and the RB-12.
And you just bought that?
Years ago when I did the RB-12. I did
Oh,
that.
okay, gotcha. I see. As
But-
obviously, it's a modified pair of vice grips.
Yeah,
But
somebody
they
came
knew
up-
how to do it, knew what angle to do it at, and
Yeah.
okay, very
Yeah,
cool.
it's a handy tool, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it looks great. It just flushes it right in there.
especially when you have different angles coming together.
Yeah. Yeah, and I noticed back on this back one, it's like, wow, that looks really good. It just flushed it right into the fuselage right there. That is really cool.
Yeah,
Looking good.
it's a lot of work on this guy.
Yeah, I just love that turtle deck. I am super impressed with how well that mates up with the fuselage. That looks so good. I love that.
Well,
You know, when I first see the pictures of the Hummel Bird, you see this huge canopy and this monster turtle deck squeezed down to a little bitty tiny tail. It looks a little bit awkward, but
yeah.
at least at this point, this doesn't look quite as awkward as when I usually see them.
Yeah.
No, that looks good. That's looking really good. Yeah.
But it's going to be a tri-gear.
Nose wheel, huh?
Oh, and by the way, I should be getting, my propeller was going to be delivered in this past December. I talked with them and said, because I'd been in a hospital and had some issues and stuff, I said, if they are late with delivery, that's good for me because I'm behind schedule. And I'm supposed to get the half VW engine in January.
This
So,
month?
Yeah.
Propeller and engine.
Yep.
God, and with the way the airplanes come along, it's right on schedule.
Well, there's a ton of work. A ton of work.
We're still in the ton of work phase, huh?
Yeah. Well, keep in mind, I've got to put all the, oh, jeez, the tubing for my controls.
Get that all welded up.
Yeah, I got to weld it, my rudder assemblies and stuff. And by the way, I'll probably talk to you about that, so you can
Nice.
maybe give me a hand on that.
Sure.
But it's got to be tubing that runs through the bulkheads and back.
Right.
In fact, if there's got 2 holes back at that bulkhead E, round circular holes,
Uh-huh.
that's where the controls for the rudder and the horizontal stabilizer.
Oh, it
is
popped right through
controlled.
there, huh?
Yep. That's the plan.
That's the plan. They just pop right through there.
Yeah, hopefully.
Nice. Very cool. Looking good, Les.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Okay, so now for just a quick little show and tell of my fun toy. Here, have you hold the camera,
Okay.
and then we'll do this thing up real fast.
Oh yeah, that's a tool I'm interested in.
So this is probably a Chinese can opener. And,
Do you need the microphone?
No, I don't. No, it could hear us both pretty good. And this is 032 stainless. So watch this thing. Oops, make sure I'm on the right side
Oh wow! Wow!
That works pretty good. So this side's nice and clean. You can see that one's all curled up. That piece right there is all curled.
Yeah.
So you want to be cutting the good piece, and what comes off is the bad piece.
Yes.
But this thing, like I said, is only about $18.
Wow.
So if you buy 3 of them and one of them works, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, I've seen that tool probably on YouTube.
Yeah. This is, like I said, this is
You know how
stainless.
long it would take me to cut that metal with my shears?
Oh man, that works so good. I mean, it leaves a really, really sharp edge. It's essentially a huge can opener, right?
Yeah. Let me feel that.
It's a powered can opener.
Yeah, so you do have to file down the one edge, but the other edge is curved nicely.
Yeah.
But it's just one edge that you got to file down.
Just like your can opener does, the same exact thing, So okay, that's my one little show and tell thing.
That's, boy, if you're a Hummel builder, that tool will become really, really used.
Super handy. Okay, all right. January of 24. Exactly 1 year into this, right? You got the plans last December?
Correct.
A year ago?
Yeah.
And so, So good job, Les.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Is it 1 year or 2?